Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means.
Front Office Friday! I don't have an edition. Happy New Year edition.
First Front Office Friday of 2025 edition.
Yeah, there we go. Happy New Year edition.
Happy New Year, everybody. And we've got a lot to talk about on today's show. A lot going on. I guess we might as well just get into the thick of it. Keith, the Jimmy Butler situation hit another level last night. Jimmy making it pretty clear he wants to be anywhere but Miami. This is even when Miami put out there, what was it, a week ago, that they weren't trading Jimmy Butler, you kind of had a sense, and I talked about it. I said, I don't think I buy it, that everything is suddenly okay and they're just going to hang on to him. They may end up still hanging on to him, but things are not good between Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, suffice to say.
Yeah, I mean, he basically came out last night and said a lot of different things, but basically said, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, yeah. I'm going to boil it down to the most simple thing. The Heat have Pat Riley put out a statement saying we're not trading Jimmy Butler, but we'll see what happens with all that. I'm not fully sold that's going to be how that goes down. I think it was ESPN, Tim Bontemps, Brian Windhorst had reporting that like they don't want to take back bad money. The Heat are actually not, they don't really want to lose him for nothing, but if he walks this summer, they're happy to take the Paul George to the Sixers approach of, great, we'll clear up our books and we'll fill out our roster with depth and move forward that way. So I think, we'll see with this. Not sold he gets traded right now. I think there is a chance that he sticks with Miami, at least into the summertime, and then we see what happens from there. But I think we're getting close to him having played his last game in Miami.
Yeah, do they put him back out of the floor? I mean, they were essentially, it's come out that they were accusing him of not trying out there on the floor, and he certainly didn't look like he was putting forth his best effort in last night's game. Does he play next game? What does Miami do from here if you feel like you're going to get, I mean, James Harden, the end of his Houston Rockets era, Jimmy Butler, if you're going to get that out of him, do you put him back out on the floor? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be really cautious of that, right? Because it was tough because he wasn't that one game that James Harden played, like he full on quit on the game. Like everybody saw it that one time there for Houston. Butler didn't do that, but he certainly wasn't overly interested in playing for the Heat the last couple games. So I think we're in a spot where we're going to see, them probably Spoelstra and him will have a conversation of, hey, are you going to play or are we going to be doing this? Because if you're going to do this, then we're not going to play you and we'll figure it out from there. But yeah, man, it's going to be, it's not good. Like it's so tough when you get to this point because you want to be able to put the guys on the floor, but if you can't, it gets really tough to play the guys.
And that's going to be the challenge now for Miami. It's if you can't put them on the floor, if you can, how does all this resolve? I mean, at some point he's going to have to play basketball. He does have a player option this year on his contract, and he has apparently said he's going to opt out of that, or made it known he's going to opt out of that to free agency. How much of that is just to try to make sure that he can steer his destination? But now, I mean, it sounded like he wants to go anywhere but Miami. It's hard to find, aside from the Warriors, and word was that in a deal with the Warriors, the Heat want Jonathan Kuminga, and the Warriors don't want to give up Kuminga, which makes sense on both sides there. Mm-hmm. Aside from Golden State, it's hard to see where the landing spot is, unless maybe you start talking to Denver about a Michael Porter Jr. deal or something like that. But I don't even know if they're doing that or not. Like it's hard to find a landing spot. As talented as Jimmy is, it's hard to find a landing spot for his contract.
Yeah, let's do this. This question from Johnny Test says, if Jimmy gets traded, who would each of you like to see him get? I think this means get traded to. And Johnny says he'd like him personally in Houston. For me, my sneaky spot where I think he could make a lot of sense is Memphis. I think Memphis could give the Heat back expiring salaries or salaries that are at least very movable, because that's the other thing, right? The Heat may not get strictly expiring salary, but they want salary that then they can trade. And Memphis has all of their own picks as well. So you could give up picks that would, at this point, very likely to be in the mid to late 20s.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I would be open to that if I was the Grizzlies. I think Jimmy Butler really fits with what they need. I think they need one more guy who could kind of create offense a little bit easier, just ease the burden on John Morant, on Desmond Bain, on Jaren Jackson Jr. He's not a perfect fit there because he's not a great shooter, but we've seen he tends to dial it up once we get to postseason time. And if you're Memphis, if you really want to get in that conversation with Oklahoma City, and don't look now, but here come the Nuggets starting to
Yep.
play pretty well again. If you want to get in that conversation as a contender with those teams, this could be the move that puts you there. And then you get his bird rights and work out a long-term deal with him after that. Probably not going to be a max or anything, but we'll see. So that's my team that I think kind of sneaky could make a lot of sense for Jimmy Butler.
I think the question becomes who wants to give Jimmy Butler? Is it Memphis wants to give him that next contract? But I do think that in terms of this season, Memphis certainly could be an interesting fit for him. I think Houston has told everybody that they don't want to part with their young players. I know there was some pushback against it the other day, but like for maybe a De'Aaron Fox or something, it makes more sense. Otherwise, I kind of buy what Houston is saying when it comes to Jimmy, just because he's 35 years old. He doesn't really fit with the timeline of the rest of the team. And so I don't know. I still look at the Warriors as a team that makes sense to get Jimmy Butler. Their great start to the season has gone by the wayside. Now they're the 9 seed in the West. I think they've got motivation to try to get something done, to get something big done. The big question, though, is Jonathan Kuminga. Does Miami do the trade without Kuminga? Will the Warriors put Kuminga in? That, I think, could be the sticking point there. But to me, the Warriors are still the team that makes the most sense for Jimmy.
Yeah, and that one makes a lot of sense too. And I'm with everything you said. Excuse me, everything you said there on Houston. I don't. If it was De'Aaron Fox, that's different. That's a whole different level of move at this point, and that's not no knock on Jimmy Butler. He's just a much older player and a lot less reliable health wise. So that's not the kind of all in move, because you got to remember too, you can't really make 2 all in moves. You can kind of generally only make 1. So that becomes a thing. If you're Houston, if you're going to do the all in move, you better be sure it's the right one, because you're going to get one real shot at that. And then after that, you're going to have to deal with the fallout. So you want to make sure that it's the right things there. I'll pull this up from T. Does this lower Jimmy's value as an asset? No, anybody who wants him knows what he is. It's the same stuff with James Harden, right? Like the teams kept getting nice returns for James Harden because no one really cared that he was quitting, because their assumption was, well, he's not going to do that to us, right? Like when we get him, we'll get him right and he'll be fine here. Everybody knows what Jimmy Butler is, so they're fine. And then this one made me laugh. Thankfully, my work days aren't televised now. I don't have to give a press conference after everyone saw me mailing it in. Yeah, 100%. Completely agree with that.
That's funny. So
man, we get a lot of questions rolling in. I love it. Busy Friday, man. People are fired up.
It is Friday. And we've got a ton in here. I guess let's go here. I'm sure we'll work our way back to Jimmy Butler at some point here, but let's go here. Sure, Doug, not Dave McMenamin, said Ivy prayers. Hey. Will Detroit use cap space at the deadline? Yeah.
Thanks for checking in, Doug. We talked a lot about the Pistons in our last show.
We yesterday, did.
But yeah, I think so. They're not going to sit on $14 million in cap space. They're going to do something. I think, where they're standing. Look at this guy's all over. This is why he's a pro, folks.
There it
Trevor
is.
Lane right here. He's on it. We talked about this yesterday, but if you haven't had a chance to listen to yesterday's episode yet, for the Pistons, it's more about the teams behind them. And all right, the Bulls are right there. Sixers, we expect to kind of continue to make a run at being a play-in team, at least. But the Nets, Raptors, Hornets, Wizards, those teams aren't going anywhere. So if you're Detroit, you have a good shot at making the play-in tournament, and I think they would like to. I don't think they're overly focused on got to add another super high draft pick to this team. I think they would love to be in the play-in tournament and show a young roster like, hey, growth, let's play some meaningful games. Let's play real basketball down the stretch here. And I think for that reason, combined with the Ivy injury, I think you're more likely to see them use that cap space to get a good player, a player who can help fill that void. Because in Jaden Ivey, that loss, you lost not only your starting two guard, but you lost your backup point guard. That's really the role he was playing for Detroit. So now Marcus Sasser will play more. We said Thompson and Holland will probably both see an uptick in minutes here as well. But it's mostly, but you got to get another guy in who can play. And I think there's a chance we see that happen. But mostly I'm excited Doug, not Dave, checked in again. We haven't seen him in
That's right. That's right.
Appreciate
And this is I think this is a switch from the Pistons because I don't think they're going to be sellers on the market this year. I think they're definitely going to be more in the buyer mode because they can at least get into the play-in. I think that is still very much in the range of possible outcomes here for them. In fact, you could even say that's likely that they do. I mean, based on who's around them, I do think they probably make that push. So it's unfortunate what happened with Jaden Ivey. Hopefully he does heal up and he gets better soon. But yeah, I think the Pistons continue to try to push forward and go for it and do what they can to get back into the postseason.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would love to see them do something, and I would love it if Jaden Ivey heals faster than expected and we see him come up. I'm gonna pull just something really quick out of here. Yeah. Knicks an option. I don't know. Knicks just generally a trade option. They have the players and the picks. They don't really, if they're trading players, they're trading away guys who are a big part of their starting group in their rotation. They're not sitting on like extra guys like that. They don't really have the draft picks anymore. They traded most of their draft picks away to get Mikal Bridges, and the ones they had left went for in the Towns trade. So they've got a couple extra picks and some swaps that they could do, but they're not sitting on like a bounty anymore like that. They used most of their tradable assets up and used it well. I mean, they're playing terrific there. I don't know if you saw, this is like the first time I want to say in like history this late in the season, we've got two teams on this long of win streaks with the Knicks and the Thunder meeting with this high of a win percentage. They play tonight. That should be an absolutely awesome game. I'm really excited to watch that one tonight. So that should be fun. Unfortunately, because we're in the middle of college football bowl season and everything else, it's on NBA TV. Which the NBA announced today. Celtics Thunder on Sunday will also be on NBA TV, which is who scheduled Celtics Thunder when you knew they were going to be two of the best teams in the league for the last NFL Sunday. Like that's you failed. That was a massive mistake.
The schedule has some bizarre stuff going on with it this year, doesn't it?
So yeah, just weird, but yeah, I mean, it should be fun tonight at least.
Yeah.
To see that one.
Let's go. This is Keith. I think this might be a first. This may be a first right here. Hey, from Malta.
Malta,
I don't know if we've had anybody coming in from Malta before.
I don't even know Welcome what currency Malta uses.
Yeah. Happy to have you here.
Do they pay for everything with malted milkshakes? That'd be good.
That's like the dad joke of all dad jokes.
Yeah, let's
go. How could the Lakers get Fox? I mean, I would think, Keith, if the Lakers want to get into the mix, and they were named as one of the teams that would be interested in De'Aaron Fox, realistically, like just about every team is going to be interested to some degree in De'Aaron Fox.
Sure.
But the Lakers were named among the Spurs, the Rockets. There were a number of other teams that'll be in the mix there. I know the Magic were brought up there. But I think for the Lakers to get in the mix, they would have to be willing to go all in because I'm talking, Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, draft capital, all that kind of stuff to go get him. You wouldn't be able to say, well, we're going to hold this off the table. I think the bidding would be pretty competitive for De'Aaron Fox. And so for the Lakers, they'd have to be willing to give up pretty much everything in order to go get Fox. And then it's a question of, is that the right decision or not for them? And that's something they'd have to decide. But again, Keith, I still think that the De'Aaron Fox trade market, if and when it does happen, will be more of a summer thing. It's possible that it's this year by the trade deadline, but it would require Fox and Rich Paul putting pressure on the Kings to do it right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. This would take the Kings falling apart even more than they have in the next month, and him being like, I want out and I want out right now. Like, get me out of here. I don't even want to be here any longer, and I want to figure out my next deal with a new team. And to your point with the Lakers, yeah, you're talking probably Reeves and Hachimura just from the salary matching component. Mm-hmm. I would ask for both first round picks, and I would ask for Connect too. just because like at that point, if the Lakers are desperate enough to jump into the Fox Derby, then Sacramento needs to be ruthless enough to be like, I want everything then.
Yeah.
Like then I want everything you have, because they don't have that signature one young piece. They don't have that guy who's on the second year of his rookie deal where it's like, that's the guy, right? You can build your next iteration of the Kings around him. So yeah, it would have to be very cautious there with that. So but I'm with you. I think that's a summer thing for Fox more than now. It just, there's almost too much at play in there to make it happen today or in the next month.
And I do think the Kings are going to spend the next month here trying to add pieces to the roster to make a run to keep Fox. I think that's going to be the plan for them. And then if they're not able to accomplish that, that's where this summer the big moment comes, when they offer that extension to De'Aaron Fox. Does he accept it? Does he not? And that's going to tell us what the plan is going to be moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, I'm just like, we got fans in Malta. Somebody in the chat said they were in Cyprus too, which is pretty
cool.
Like, let's go worldwide.
Let's go.
I don't even know where Malta is, to be honest.
It is off of Italy.
Is it? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
I thought it was one of those, like, is it like an island?
Yes,
maybe. Okay,
off the coast of Italy. Yep,
there we go.
That's about here. I'm looking it up now on Google. Yep, just south of Italy. It must. I would imagine it's beautiful. We should go visit. We should do front office show on the road. We'll go to Malta.
Yeah,
be totally
fine. 12, can we stay at your house?
Yeah, that's right.
Let us know. We'll do a live show from his family room
from Malta. We definitely have the budget for it as a show. We can pull that off.
Yeah. We just need a place to stay. That's
all. I like this comment. Basketball Bulletin Friday NBA front office edition. Because your comment at the end
yesterday.
Love the show. Love you guys' work a lot. Thanks for all the great content. I hope the April Fool's Day edition will happen again. We're going to have to come up with something.
We didn't do April Fools. Those were all very serious.
Those were all very real, very serious takes on the NBA. For sure. Oh, that was a good show. Keith, I
appreciate the support from Janos Szabo.
For sure.
Are you related to Brett Szabo? Let us know. Former NBA Brett Szabo back in the day.
Only you would know that.
He played for the Celtics, and he was a big white guy with giant glasses. He had like the Kurt Rambis glasses, like 2 decades after Kurt Rambis.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was something else.
The April Fool's Day edition, I remember being a little bit dismayed that it took so long for people to catch on that we weren't being. I thought we were saying the exact opposite of the kind of stuff that we typically say, and I was like, "Oh, people are going to know what we're doing right away." But I was surprised how many people in the comments were like, "Oh no, you had me going."
Yeah, I loved it, man. It was great. Fun. We're getting people saying they're from the Czech Republic, and some of these I don't know how much I can believe, because every once in a while you start doing this and then people start throwing out very random places, but we'll take it if they're real. Great. Yeah. And if anytime you want us to come, just let us know, give us your address and we'll show up at your house, and we'll
have Mike will travel.
Yeah.
Connor said, Grizz fan here. If y'all were in their front office, what player would y'all go after to take them to the next level? He's from Memphis because he threw in multiple y'alls.
Yeah, that's true.
And so there you go.
That's like my one thing from living in the South, as long as I have now. Y'all has become like a thing. Like that's something I actually say very regularly. So yeah, from Antarctica. I mean, Connor, I already said Jimmy Butler makes sense for Memphis for me. So that's off the top of my head. That's the guy I would be looking at. I think he solves a lot of things going on there. But I would, like somebody just said, I would move, Desmond Bane. I wouldn't move Bane in the deal. I would be, you want expiring salaries, you want picks, here you go. But I'm not giving you one of my better guys. And Bane doesn't make a lot of sense for Miami either, not with Tyler Hero there. So I would, we'll see. But yeah, that's the direction I would look at.
Let's go here. Evan said, hey guys, happy Friday. Had a question on what you guys think on a possible Malik Monk to Lakers trade if the Kings decide to blow it up, that is. I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, Malik Monk was great when he was with the Lakers. I'll pull his salary here in just a second so we can all look
About
at it. But
17 million.
what's that?
It's about 17 million, I think.
Right. Yeah, he's at 17 million this season, 18, almost 19 million next season, and then 20.1 million, 20.2 million really after that, and then $21.5 million player option. Um, I don't know. I mean, you'd be talking a bit, probably a Rui Hachimura trade in order to make something like that happen. And does that really change much for Sacramento? Not really. I mean,
Yeah.
if they decided to blow it up, that getting Rui, like you'd have to get into a 3-team trade where young assets would have to find their way to Sacramento. And I don't think if the Kings are trying to blow it up and get rebuilding pieces, I don't know that the Lakers are necessarily, outside of like some kind of Dalton Connect deal, that the Lakers are necessarily the right trade partner there. I also think the Kings would probably prefer to not trade with the Lakers. They probably prefer to trade with somebody else if they can.
Yeah, ideally, yeah, because they're pretty far behind right now, but you don't want to be a team you're in the same general like part of the standings competing with spots for. You're not generally looking to strengthen them. And you're right to be Hachimura. And at that point, does that really doesn't do anything. So if I'm the Kings, I would need one of the first round picks, right? Because that's Hachimura is not enough for me to do that trade on the Kings side. So then that becomes all right. Well, what else can you give me to sweeten the pot here? And I'd be like, all right, do you want to give up Connect or do you want to give up one of the firsts? And if the Lakers were open to that, then sure, I'm open to at least listening to them and having a conversation. But if I'm the Lakers, that probably tips too far the other way, and I'm probably like, I think you can get you're not going to get a player probably as good as Malik Monk, but you can get a guy who can fill a similar-ish role for you for probably a lot less of a cost, and that's what I'd be looking at instead.
Yeah, that's it exactly. That's it exactly. All right, let's go here, Keith. If I trade away like 5 players, will your trade machine factor in adding minimum players that might push me over the apron, or is that not how it works? That's a good question. Let's say you drop below the minimum roster.
Yeah, it'll come up with a flag that tells you it'll either tell you one or two things. On the one side, it'll probably tell you you'll need to sign however many players it is to get into roster compliance. On the other side, it'll say you need to waive the team would need to waive X amount of players for the trade to be legal. So it will come up with a flag on that. It will, as long as the salary rules are all met, as far as the trade rules for matching, it will push through as a successful trade, but it'll flag both of those things, telling you need to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, again, everybody would definitely recommend use SpotTrack's trade machine if you're working through it is the season. If you're working through trades, trying to figure out what your team can do or not do, use SpotTrack's trade machine. It's gonna have all the new rules incorporated and all of that, so you can know what really goes through. So, but that's awesome that it puts that flag in there, because that could become an issue for Cindy. Looking at how close some teams are to their various aprons and hard caps and things of that nature, that's important to note.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. And everything factors in the hard caps, the apron rules, the bonuses, if they're in there, like Cam Johnson. I got a message this morning from someone saying, hey, I think there's a problem. It's not letting me trade for Cam Johnson. And it's an apron team. And Cam Johnson, as we've talked about, he's 22.5 million salary, but he counts at 27 million towards the apron. Because you have to be able to fit in his full potential contract in under the apron. So that's why it lands in there. So that's where that's at. So I just, I'm always happy to answer those questions. And there, if you find things that don't make mistakes or things that look off, let us know. Like we're, perfectly happy to take a look at it on that. There, I'll pull this one just because it's a question about the trade machine. Here real quick from DJ Griffin. Is there any way it can be updated to add another team to a trade? The only option is to start over from scratch. We're working on that right now. Right now, we're focused on making sure the rules are working correctly. That's more important, but we will be adding increased functionality as far as being able to not have to go back and start over with that. So we'll work with that.
Always working on something. You guys are. You're always up to something over there, Keith.
We're trying, man. We are trying.
All right, let's go here. Thunder make an offer to Sean Marks. Offer Sean Marks can't refuse. Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Topic, and 5 first-round picks for Johnson and Cam Thomas. Who says no?
dude, that's too much.
That's a lot.
5 for even with them having extra first, that's not.
Plus
That's not a good
Topic, and that's
yeah, and you get Wiggins and Joe, who are good players on good contracts. Topic, that's like adding in a first round pick rather,
yeah.
because that's what he was a year ago. So I would, yeah, that's too much.
I would. That is an offer Sean Marks can't refuse, though.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Sean Marks would be like, "Cool, I already dropped the cams off at the airport."
Yeah. He'd be like, "Let's go, guys!
Yeah,
Everybody get in.
Their things and
I'm driving you to the airport."
yeah, it's too much. I mean, I'm all about the Thunder overpaying, in terms of draft capital because they can, but that's an extreme. If
what do you think about
like 2 or 3? Okay, then maybe.
Yeah. What do you think about OKC as a landing spot for Cam Johnson?
Yeah, I like it. Because he's plug and play for them. Of course, last time we said that was Gordon Hayward, and that didn't work out so well. But very, very different situation. So yeah, I would. I like that one a lot with Cam Johnson going there. He would fill a lot of needs that the Thunder have without taking away. Assuming it wasn't something insane, trade wise. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I agree. I think he'd make them. I mean, they're already really, really good, but give them yet another weapon. Cam Johnson would. Aaron Madden said Kessler and Clarkson for JHS, Vincent Hayes, and an unprotected first, and unprotect their other first. How can we get it done? I feel like that would make us legit contenders once Vundo comes back. If Vundo comes back, we'll see. Who knows at this point what's gone on with him? It's been almost a full year now since we've seen Jared Vanderbilt.
Who's more real, Vundo or Mando from The Mandalorian? Because it's like pretty even right now.
I don't know. I see when you said that, I was like, I thought you were talking about my sponsor with Lakers Nation.
Oh,
Mando.
Look at that. Nice. I need some of that. I want to try.
I was like, oh no, Mando is very real. I've got some right here.
I know you've got some.
But
I mean, just unprotecting the first doesn't do that much. Because you're not, it's only top 4 protected anyway. So you're not, unless you're really thinking like, man, we're going to get one over on the Lakers and they're going to completely crap the bed here in a couple years. I don't know that does a whole lot for them. So really you're talking, I look at it as it'd be Kessler for the one unprotected first, and then Clarkson for a bunch of parts. And I don't know. I don't love that idea. From the Jazz side, to be clear.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, well, like, let me ask you this: is Clarkson? I'm not. I guess, and I like Jordan Clarkson as a former Laker, but are you? If you're the Lakers, should you be interested in Jordan Clarkson?
Yeah, I would. First, I'd ask for Sexton.
Yeah.
And see if I could get him instead, just because he's a little younger, a little more upside left in there with that. But yeah, I mean, and I like Jordan Clarkson too, but he's 32. You do get off some money next year. I guess it's not far off. Let's put it that way. It's, I don't know what you would add as a balancer to make it, because none of those players are doing anything for the Jazz, right? Like none of those guys are. There's not, because even if Hood Schifino pops, you're limited on what you can pay him, because you inherit the same issues the Lakers have, where it's the amount to his thing. So I don't know. It's the draft picks, and that's, man, I don't love it. I get Kessler to the Lakers. I kind of understand, the idea there and why they, people would want him. Again, though, are you gonna start him with AD and then LeBron at the 3? I don't. It's the LeBron's a 4 now. That's the issue with all that. Anything there where going and getting a center. I just don't know that you can play a real center, AD and LeBron together for a lot of minutes. You're gonna struggle defensively in those lineups, even with AD and Kessler kind of cleaning everything up on the back end. Your perimeter defense just isn't going to be very good, and that would be a worry for me if I'm building out my roster moving forward after that.
Yeah, I do think they need another perimeter defender. I've been talking about that quite a bit with Lakers Nation, particularly a guard that can be kind of a point of attack defender. The challenge is finding that guy. It is really difficult.
Because if you have him, you don't want to give him up.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to give up that guy. Yep. All right, let's go here. Blazers need to trade Ayton, Grant, and Simons. Obviously, they're not all going to be traded this season. Which of the three do you think will most likely get traded and where? I think I
I
would
mean, if
say, go
Joe, go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Ayton is the least likely to get traded
Yeah,
of
I
the
would say
three.
the most likely is Simons. Just
Yeah.
it's the smallest contract. He is he's the kind of guy almost any team in the league could get him and say, worst comes to worst, we're gonna play him as a bench guard and improve our bench that way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Jeremy Grant, I think it'll be interesting. I think his market's going to depend on what happens with Kuzma, what happens with Cam Johnson, what happens with some of these other wings, maybe Brandon Ingram, that are out there on the market as well. I think all that's going to be interconnected.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I don't think he's going. I don't know that Simons is going to get traded or not. And
Yeah.
Portland's a weird spot. I was actually talking to someone about them this morning, and one of the things that they were saying is like they're not like Portland isn't like some of these other bad teams that is like calling people on like, hey, you want this guy? You interested? Let's talk about this player. Portland's just kind of more waiting for people to call them. Was the sense that this person had with the Blazers. And well, I kind of get that a little bit of, hey, we've got some guys, we've got Robert Williams, we've got Matisse Thybulle, we've got some guys we can move from a position of strength with a little bit there where we don't have to trade any of these guys. So we'll see. The other thing is if you're Portland, other than Ayton, not really blocking anybody younger from taking minutes. So, and they're already making sure Klingon plays plenty anyway. So I don't know that they're in a super huge rush. They're already doing quite fine losing games. They don't need to get these guys off the roster because of that.
Yeah. Agreed. I think there's certainly a team to watch that should be a seller here at the deadline, but it'll be interesting to see what actually comes up for them. All right. Let's go connect, unprotect 27 and seconds for Kessler.
Sure. I'd do that.
I mean, yeah. I think you probably have to consider. Connect has been in a bit of a slump, but I've been saying that's kind of what happens with shooters, especially rookies. They just kind of naturally go through ebbs and flows as the season goes on.
That's too much on the Lakers side for me.
Yeah.
But
Doug, not Dave, McMenamin said, not gone, working a lot. Appreciate you guys more than you know. Props to Magic players for the Ivy reaction class act.
Yeah, I mean, Cole Anthony was crushed. I didn't see because I don't know if they had practice or anything yesterday, but I've been around Cole Anthony enough to tell you guys he's not a dirty player. And we lost Trevor briefly here, so hopefully we'll get him back. And I'll soldier on here without my boy. But yeah, Cole Anthony's a good guy, man. He is, works really, really hard and he plays the game the right way. There was nothing intentional meant there. So we'll see. All right, let me you guys know what it looks like when I fly solo here. So we'll get into the super chats and the starred questions here. Let's see. NJP, will the Celtics consider trading Kristaps in the next few years if they don't go back to back? Will his injury history be something they consider in regards to KP? Yeah, 100%. Injury history is going to be a factor there. If he can't get and stay on the floor, then you're absolutely going to see the Boston probably look to do something. The challenge then becomes, Jared, if you can't get on the floor for them, how is he going to get on the floor for another team? And what's that going to look like? So then that kind of you get the back and forth there, right? Of what are you going to get for him? Where will it go? You're probably not getting a massive return, especially if he's been out so much. So I don't know that it's going to be anytime soon. It's certainly not going to be ahead of the trade deadline. That'd be more of an off-season kind of reset thing. I think Celtics are going to do small stuff like they did a year ago. It'll be probably kicking the can down the road with Jaden Springer, moving his contract for the next Jaden Springer type of guy that they can kind of keep towards the end of the bench and hopefully develop a year from now. And then maybe another small move, minimum type addition at the back end of the bench. There's not going to be anything major that comes out of Boston in that respect. Joe Flacco checking in. Let's go. Happy New Year's to you all. If it ain't Kessler, give me Nick Richards and Josh Green for Rui and Cam. And second rounders, we get a young big and a solid two-way wing. Yeah, I don't hate the idea for the Lakers there, but I don't know that you're going to snag those guys for second rounders because, again, Hachimura, the Hornets don't want that contract. They've already got, when we get into next season, they've already got Miles Bridges. They'll have Grant Williams coming back. They don't want Rui Hachimura in his contract. That wouldn't be where they would want to go with that. Speaking of, from Nori, is there a trade market for Miles Bridges? Almost left in the offseason. He didn't really come that close to leaving. There weren't the offers out there that they had hoped for very good reasons there with his off-court stuff that had happened. So, but yeah, Miles Bridges, I mean, I don't know that teams are looking to get him right now. There's still a very much of a sense of like, is this a guy? What would he look like in a real winning situation? Because he doesn't shoot it great. He's not a great defender. He kind of does a lot of things okay to good, but nothing is great there. And that starts to become a question with a guy like him. Michael C., do you guys think we'll see a Lakers Celtics finals again? Yeah, I wouldn't say this year. I don't think that's going to be where we get to. But yeah, down the line, yeah, maybe needs to pull the trigger, give picks players for Kessler. That's a popular suggestion here today, obviously, as we go. Johnny says Keith and Trevor just went on an NBA trip and went to a bunch of new arenas. Just wondering, how many arenas have you guys been to and any fun facts you're willing to share? Geez, at this point, I think I've been to, I got to be around 20 total. I've not, the new Clippers arena, I've not been there yet. I can't wait to check that one out because everybody says that one is really, really amazing. But yeah, I'd have to actually sit down. I'll try to do that over the weekend and figure it out, and then can come back and answer this a little bit better. And then Trevor will see it when he gets back. But yeah, I think that's where I'm in that range, toward 20s in that range. I think I'm there. So all right, we'll do a couple more here. Let's see now. Why would teams like Brooklyn not want multi-year salary players? Don't they want to be bad for a while, hence getting their own pick back? Well, their own pick back is this year. So yeah, I think they're okay to bottom that out a little bit there. But it gets very hard. You have to be in the right kind of place to sell. If you start taking back multi-years of bad salary, one of the things that happens in that case is you're basically selling your fan base on, hey guys, I am like telling you right now, we're going to be rebuilding for the next X amount of years, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is, as we build back up. And that's okay in some cases. And I'm not even saying Nets fans would be against that. I think the challenge is you just need to be very cautious as you put that together, that of what your messaging is, because then you don't want to turn around a year in and be like, actually, you know what, we're going to shortcut this rebuild and go try to take on salary as far as signing players and acquiring guys who can actually play, because now then you're stuck because you've eaten some bad salary. So it's kind of the mix and match there. It's a way you can increase your asset return in trades, but you're not necessarily going to be able to do that there. So yeah, we'll see. I don't think that's where the Nets are headed with this one. Stu is mauling Trevor. He may be. I don't know. That could be what happens with that. Great Babe, why are you so angry? Breathe, brother. Breathe. It's Friday. It's Friday morning or afternoon, depending on where you're watching this. Maybe even Saturday morning. Just breathe. We don't need to be so angry all the time. If you had to do the show for another sport for a day, which one would you do? I'd probably do baseball at this point. I think would be the one I would want to do most. I don't watch the NFL like that anymore to know quite enough of this there. So with that, so yeah, but yeah, probably baseball would be the one. Maybe soccer, but there. No, YouTube user. I don't think huge Lakers news. I think he had an internet bump there, so that's why we haven't seen him. Whoops. There we go. Any interest in the college football playoffs? I can only speak for me here on this one. 100%. I am way more interested in it that it's an actual playoff and a turn. I love a tournament, right? A tournament is a blast. So I'm all about the college football playoffs. I've watched way more of it than I ever would have when they were just random, random bowl games. I didn't have really any interest in a bunch of random bowl games. So yeah, I really like the college football playoff. I think they've done a good job with it. Of the teams that are left, I think I'd like to see Texas win the most, not Notre Dame, not them. So I'm a BC guy, so that's why I'm with that. Let's see. Whoops, I pulled the wrong one. Is Bruce Brown a possible buyout candidate? He is, but let's remember with this, with Bruce Brown, you are there's two parts here on this one. One, he makes $23 million this year. If he is bought out, he would not be able to sign with any team that is over the apron. So that eliminates a lot of the contenders right out of the mix, because that's one of the new rules is if you're over the apron, you can't sign a buyout player who made more than the non-taxpayer mid-level. So that would be Bruce Brown. And at that point, I don't know how much Bruce Brown really wants to be bought out, because if he can't join, the contender of his choosing, then he may not be interested at all there. So with that, so we'll see. But not super interested in that one. No Notre Dame, no DA Brax. I'm a Boston College guy, and that's one of the rivals. So not a fan. I have been to Ball Arena. I enjoyed it. Like, it was fine. There was nothing there that was like super special to me. It was your kind of standard basketball arenas are hard, man. They are hard to make really stand out from each other. They're all kind of the same once you get inside. There's certain ones that do different things. Like, I always think Madison Square and Lakers games, I think they're really cool that they do the theater lighting. Where it's, the court is, lit up, theater style. I always think that's been really, really good, with that. So yeah, I think, Ball Arena was fine. I just, it wasn't, nothing stood out to me, there with that one. So, if you spam the chat, I'm not going to answer your question. Just, I think people have been here for a while know that now. G Mercado, why can't teams trade picks past 7 years in the future? Is there a reason, history for this? There's a few reasons behind this. One is part of the step in type stuff. There was, they didn't want a team basically saying, here's our draft future for the next 2 decades. The other part is they want to be protected in case there are expansion happens. That would drastically trade the way the draft looks as far as the number of teams in the draft and the like. And it just, by putting an end constraint on it, keeps everything a lot more controllable. There from you're not getting too crazy with that. So 7 years is what they picked, and that's where we're at. And that doesn't look like it's changing anytime soon. Let's see here. Pulling some stuff here. Yeah, somebody said, hope I'm feeling better. I am. The only thing that's lingering is the cough. That's why I have to keep muting. Because I keep coughing today. With that. Regulator, best guess on expansion timeline. I still think we're probably going to hear about expansion, meaning we are doing it sometime within the next 2 years. Probably within the next 3 years, we'll hear who the cities are going to be. And then probably, in that 4th year, we'll see a team. It's probably going to be about a year after the announcement of who the teams are that will actually get the teams on the floor. There's usually, because you have to take time to time all that stuff up. They're going to time it with the end of a season, start of the next season, and the like. So I think we'll be in a spot where kind of it's coming. It's, even when they've kind of thrown some cold water on things a little bit, I think there's a spot on. I think there's a spot for expansion to come. I think that's a pretty well known, pretty poorly kept secret, I guess is the best way. I'm trying to say that. I think it'll be, and I still believe it'll be both Las Vegas and Seattle. Those seem to be the two markets. I think Trevor had an internet hiccup. That's why he had to drop out. He's been having internet issues. They're going through a little bit of weather where he is right now, so he's got little trouble. Will not be Tampa. The Magic would they'd fight against that the whole way. The Magic would fight against it. The Heat wouldn't want it either, so it won't be Tampa. Tampa also doesn't have an arena for it, so it's definitely not going to be Tampa. And you're not that far from Orlando. You're like an hour away. I go to Tampa all the time, so there. So David asked a very popular question, links to trades. Links to trades is really hard because then we have to dedicate server space to store them. And that's not something that we really want to do. So you can do the screenshot though. You can do the screenshot and share from there. That's the best way with that. So that's the best way to kind of get through those. So I think it's there with that one. So but yeah, we're definitely not going to store trades with that. So no, I don't watch any of the NHL. I'm not a hockey guy. I enjoy it in person, but I don't. It's no way. I would never watch that over the NBA or college basketball or G League game or anything like that. Nothing against them, just not a hockey guy. Do you think Atlanta would trade DeAndre Hunter? I think they're really happy with DeAndre Hunter. He's really bought into that 6-man role. He's right. Him and Peyton Pritchard are, they're kind of 1-1A for the 6-man of the year right now. So I think those are there. So yeah, I think I think it's I think he stays. I don't think they're going to look to move him. Yeah, somebody could blow them away, obviously, but yeah, I don't think we would. We'll see that happen. I don't think we're going to see a team blow them away. So I think we're going to go there. Where was I? I was trying to go here. My favorite arena off the top of my head, the Pacers. I don't know what it's called now, the Field House, whatever its marketing attached to it is. But yeah, unbelievable place to see. But it makes sense, right? It's Indiana. If anywhere in the country is going to build an arena that is really all about basketball, they did not build that arena to then host concerts and to do other stuff in. It was built for basketball fully, and by far and away was my favorite place that I've been to for a game. As far as the arena itself, it's just everything's perfect there. It's perfect if you just want to watch basketball. Like that's where it is. It's my hometown arena here. The Kia Center, I think, is pretty good. I think they did a really nice job there. I do miss the old Orlando arena very much. I that was a really fun place because it was so small and you were right on top of it there with that. So I've actually been, DJ Venom says Hinkle Fieldhouse. I've actually been there. I was keeping it to NBA arenas, but yeah, I think go to Hinkle in college. Yeah, that was a really super cool event. I actually got there a couple different times. I got there years ago when I was a much younger guy for a thing that I was doing when I still played back in high school. And then I actually got there for a game about probably at this point, probably 6-7 years ago. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's just historic, so it's really fun. Yeah. T checking in here saying, if you're reading this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Like Spike. Let's go. Let's get the likes up on the video. That's really helpful for us. College arenas have a huge difference, from NBA arenas. A lot of the college ones have a lot of unique things that are a lot of fun. One place I've never been to, and it's on my bucket list, Cameron Indoor. I really, really want to see a game there. I've been there, but I've never been there for a game. And I'd love to be there for like Duke, Carolina. That'd be amazing. Do I just go to arenas to meet up with league folks or just a tour? 20 is impressive. Work. It's been mostly work. I've probably been a 6 or 7, just, personal for fun before I was doing this as a job, but now it's all work related. So, but when I go, I try to, walk around a little bit and see stuff around the arena with that. You guys give me 1 second. I need to get a drink real quick. Hold on. All right, apologies. Still, like I said, still battling that cough portion of the flu on the back end. But we're getting there. We're getting there. DJ says, I've seen the Pistons play at 5 different arenas in Detroit. I actually went to a game at the Silverdome way back in the day. It was the Celtics Pistons game, and that was a really fun environment. That was back when the Pistons had their names underneath the numbers. Brief period of time that they did that. And it was, our seats were awful, and it's could barely see anything because that Silverdome was not a basketball arena. Obviously, that's the same thing where I tell people this all the time. If you go to the if you ever go to the Final Four, the Final Four is not it's not always the best experience unless you have actually good seats, because it's just it's tough, to see the court. Like you're so far away. It's a cool environment and all, but it's a tough spot to be there. All right, we're gonna just do a couple more here. I'm looking with this, so let's see. What do I expect as we near January 7th? Yeah, there's a couple guys on the roster bubble. January 7th is the cut down date for teams. All contracts guarantee if you're not waived by the end of the 7th, your contract will become fully guaranteed. I've said this before, but it's January 10th is the guarantee date. But you have to clear waivers by the 10th, so that's why it becomes the 7th with that. So we'll see a couple. Oklahoma City with Brandon Carlson is a guy I would keep an eye on there. That seems probably like he will get moved on from, but we're not sitting on a ton of non-guaranteed contracts, and the ones we are sitting on, a lot of those guys are playing roles. Like Talon Horton Tucker's a rotation guy. The Cavs guys are all rotation guys. The Nets, their guys both start regularly for them. James Johnson, Pacers have played games with him in the past where they've waived him and then brought him back. Possibly James Wiseman. That one's a little weird because of the injury situation. That would be more about needing a roster spot than it is anything else. Bruno Fernando's another guy, probably. I would say decent chance he gets waived in Toronto. I'm just running through some of the other names. Taj Gibson, probably not in Charlotte, but keep an eye. He doesn't really play. He's much more of a locker room kind of veteran for them at this point. Same with Markieff Morris in Dallas, but he probably will stick there. Banton's going to stay. Obviously, Zion's not getting waived right now, so he would stick around. The Kings have a couple guys, maybe Doug McDermott, maybe Orlando Robinson, maybe Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder's not playing at all, so that could be an option there for Sacramento. But yeah, I don't expect anything kind of real blockbusters to come out of any of this stuff, guys that'll get waived. There it'll be minor guys there, and then maybe they'll move around a little bit. With some of the roster spots. Guys, Trevor had to go. He's having internet issues. That's why I had to bounce out. Here, I am also going to wrap it up because I am losing my voice pretty rapidly here. So I'm gonna go call it a night. But thank you guys so much. We did almost an hour here. Excuse me, on a Friday. We appreciate all you guys. There's over 5,000 people checked in between all the different avenues we were there. So I think we really appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with us here as we do this every Friday. We'll be continuing to do this all the way up to the trade deadline. So if this was new, first time you caught the show, pop in here and then see ask your questions, put them in the chat. We try to knock out as many of them as we can every week here, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And then we'll be back on Monday. We'll be here over the weekend if something major happens. You guys know Trevor and I will go live, and we'll jump in and break down everything live as it's still kind of coming down. But yeah, we love you guys, love the support. Definitely hit the like button, subscribe to the show, turn on your notifications. That way you'll never miss a live show. I will be back there. But yeah, we'll go from there. Thanks so much, guys. We really appreciate everybody. Have a great weekend. First weekend of the new year. Enjoy whatever it is you're going to get up to. Last weekend of the NFL season, but there's some really great NBA games too. Knicks Thunder tonight, Celtics Rockets night, Celtics Thunder on Sunday. So if you're stepping away from football, you got a really good one there to watch Sunday afternoon at 3:30. But yeah, enjoy it, everybody. Enjoy the first weekend of 2025, and we'll see you next week.